Hi everyone, welcome to episode 1 of our new series that will pop up from time to time, along with our normal content. I've been asked a few times about railways' disused infrastructure, and with about 170 years of railway history in Australia, there are many spaces abandoned by the railways. In this series, we'll take a look at these abandoned spaces and the stories and history that go with them. In this episode of Abandoned Spaces, we go to the Helensburgh deviation tunnels and check out tunnels number 3 and 4. We look at the original station ruin and investigate the history of this notorious section of railway. The Illawarra railway line joins Sydney to Wollongong and south to Bomaderry and is a major link to the ports and mining in the Illawarra area. The section of line between Waterfall and Clifton was opened in 1888 after many attempts to navigate a route through many steep gorges and creeks. A tunnel network consisting of 7 tunnels cut their way from Waterfall to Stanwell Park. The Helensburgh Tunnel, tunnel number 3 of the network, is situated on the south side of the modern railway route next to the current railway car park, and it's approximately 80 metres in length. This tunnel was used until recently as a packing shed for the mushrooms that grew in the disused tunnels. Today it's open to the general public, but the north end is blocked to the existing railway property. In this original photo taken from tunnel number 4, you can see number 3 tunnel in the distance with the original Helensburgh station in between. Today this area has been deemed a heritage reserve where nature has begun to take back what was once hers. Tunnel number 4, the Metropolitan Tunnel, was opened in 1888 and is 624 metres of single track tunnel. It links the old station with the Metropolitan coal mine. This tunnel has some very interesting history that we will talk about shortly. Let's take a look at the area. Looking through the canopy of the native trees, one would hardly guess that the 134-year-old tunnel even existed. This may be one reason why the Metropolitan Tunnel has one of the largest colonies of glowworms in New South Wales. I did try filming them, but this time it was unsuccessful. Another reason that the glowworms are so successful in this tunnel is that it's blocked on its southern portal. This helps reduce the airflow through the tunnel. The Metropolitan Colliery leased the tunnel from the state government and has taken advantage of its water catchment abilities. They use it as a water reservoir to aid in the mining process, and at times the water level in the tunnel can get quite high. So high in fact that at one stage the level of water was high enough for such a long period of time that a rumour arose of a steam engine stored in the tunnel under the water. But in 1995 the tunnel was fully drained by the mine and the rumour was put to rest. Helensburgh's original station was opened in 1889 and had a single main line and a loop siding that was used to break the larger freight trains into smaller lengths to cope with the uphill grades of the section. Helensburgh's original station platform can still be seen through the trees, dirt and mud, but most of it is obscured by the bush. Works were undertaken in 1995 after the area was drained of water to uncover the platform, and excavation works began with 22 metres of the original 1889 platform being uncovered. The original station sign was located and restored, but after being vandalised, a reproduction sign now takes place on the platform. In the year 2000, track was laid into the tunnel mouth. Although this track is just for show, it does allow the public a safer route to the tunnel mouth through the mud. The original station and the tunnel network were used for a relatively short time, with only 27 years of service. Because of the steep grades in the area, trains had to be broken, which caused delays. Not only that, but the tunnel length of the Metropolitan Tunnel and the Otford Tunnel were causing asphyxiation from smoke, and crews were being burnt from the immense heat caused from the fireboxes. Rail amplification was also needed, so a new, more winding route was found, and by 1915 the network of tunnels and the original station were abandoned. Today, Number 4 Tunnel has become popular with photographers, people who come to see the glowworms, and the paranormal investigators. Many think that this tunnel is haunted. Some visitors to the tunnel have reported eerie feelings and seen shadow figures moving in the distance. These occurrences are said to have stemmed from an accident that happened in the tunnel on the 13th of June 1895. The story is centred around a coal miner from Clifton. The miner, Robert Hales, had worked a particularly long shift at the Metropolitan Mine on the night of the 13th of June 1895, and by the time he had finished at the mine, night was well upon him. His home in Clifton, where his wife and 6 children resided, was 13 kilometres south of Helensburgh, which was at least a 2.5-hour walk through steep terrain. Because of the late hour, Hales decided that instead of waiting for a train, he would take a shortcut through the Metropolitan Tunnel and walk along the tracks instead of traversing the steep hills on his way south. This would make the journey much quicker and easier. Little did Hales know, but train number 67 had also entered the tunnel. The driver of the train, Henry Jeffries, having realised that something had been run over, stopped the train and walked back to find Hales deceased and in a terrible state. Authorities were notified and a jury deemed the death accidental. The details of Robert Hales' demise have been debated, and there are a few different versions of the story. As with most folklore, time has a way of changing the story. Regardless of this, there is a mysterious air around the old station and the Metropolitan Tunnel that most visitors can't deny feeling. Today, visitors to the Metropolitan Tunnel have said they've heard distant footsteps in the tunnel, as though someone is running, and have also mentioned seeing fast-moving shadows in the darkness. I'd be interested to hear what you think. Is the Metropolitan Tunnel haunted by Robert Hales? Or is it just the home of the glowworms and the neighbourhood chickens? Put your thoughts in the comments. That was the first episode of our new series. If you know of any abandoned railway spaces that you'd like to see in this series, let me know in the comments below. Think of it a little bit like the Leyland brothers for those that are old enough to remember. If I find your abandoned space interesting, it may end up in this series. Old Helensburgh Station and its nearby tunnels are beautiful to visit and are an interesting railway's abandoned space. Until next time, what lurks in your abandoned spaces?